saw this thing called the outliner, and I'm not really sure what it's for. Hi, my name's Juliet, and today I'm talking about the outliner in Scrivener 3 for Windows. What is the outliner for? Well, that's a question I ask myself, because I've never used it, or more accurately, I've never found a use for it in my writing process. Let's take a closer look. To see the outliner, you have to have a container selected in the binder. This feature won't work on individual documents because it's basically a list of all your subfolders and documents, with various other details. You can access this view by using the lined icon on the toolbar. The default details shown are taken from the title in the binder, the synopsis, the label and status fields, and the section type. You'll also notice that it numbers each of the sections in their correct order. If an item in the list has subdocuments or folders, you'll notice there's a little arrow by the side, which you can expand if you wish. If you click on the titles of the columns, an arrow appears, allowing you to sort in different ways. You don't actually have to click on the arrow. You can then click on the title and the sorting will change. There are 3 options for sorting: ascending, descending, and no sort. These have no effect on the binder, making this more of an analytical organisational tool. If you find this look too confusing and don't want to see the synopsis, you can remove that with the little list icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We'll return to how to remove some other things later. If you select a section, click on a title or synopsis box, you can change the text. Although, as with the index cards, you can't use return in the synopsis here. You can also choose different options from the label, status and section type lists. So this could be a way to reassign those options if you notice something is wrong. Although for mass changes, selecting labels and section types in the binder is quicker. So those are the defaults, but this is possibly where the feature gets more interesting. You can change the defaults. Click on the arrow on the far right of the title bar and choose any other items from the list that you want to appear. These are mainly to do with word counts, but if you have metadata added, that is listed too. This could give you another way to analyse such things as chapter lengths. This list is also where you can remove items. If you don't want the sections numbering, or to have icons, just deselect them. If you want even more formatting options, go to File, Options, Appearance and Outliner, and you can change the look, with things such as grid lines and alternate shading, which I do think makes it clearer. You also have the usual options for changing fonts and colours. You can print this view from the File menu, but your options are limited. First, you'll need to go into Print Settings and Outlines to select what you want to appear. And as you can see, the preview format shows it isn't optimal, especially if you have long metadata items. And of course, it's not in a nice, neat table. The manual suggests that if you don't like this format, you should try adapting a compile format. So I'll be tackling that separately in a Scrivener video soon, because this doesn't apply only to the outliner. It affects any template that takes metadata, such as the recipe format we looked at recently. But don't expect to have a table. It's only ever going to be a list. The other option, of course, is to screenshot the table, if you can get it to fit. Also, if you don't like the order of the columns, you can drag and drop them. If you want an overview of how to edit formats in Compile, you might want to try this video here. Thanks for watching, and if you've subscribed, I'll see you again next time.